Okay, so thanks for joining in tonight's class, which is on meaning and purpose. It's the 24th of August, 2021. Thank you for joining if you're watching live, and thank you for listening in if you're listening to a recording. So tonight's class is on meaning and purpose. Meaning and purpose, big subject. Or little subject, depending on our inclination. So why bother? Why bother talking about meaning and purpose in a meditation class? Well, there's a few reasons, really. Sometimes it can be quite disturbing to not have a clear sense of what our meaning and purpose is, and that can come up in our daily lives, and we can meditate on it. We can meditate on anything, really, because the idea of meditation is that the thoughts slow down in our mind, leave more space to investigate things that we choose to investigate and think about, rather than things that just appear and come up in our minds. One of those might be, what's the point of life? Excuse me. We may feel a great deal of sadness at some point and decide that there is no meaning or purpose to our life. That's how we may just feel, not intellectually, we may just feel that that's where we're at in our life. We may have had a meaning and purpose in our life and it ceased through choice or through no fault of our own. We might have felt that our meaning and purpose in life was to look after somebody who was ill as a carer, and they may have passed away, and then we may be at a loss what to do with the rest of our lives. We may have been a carer for children and they've gone off to university, and to some degree they've flown the nest and part of life is lacking. We may have retired, and a big part of our life and our identity may have been the role that we played at work, and we may feel that there's a gap, a space there. I think that's quite common. We may have a meaning and purpose in our life and feel like we want a bigger one or a different one or a lesser one for a while. So we might be searching for what's the point. We can be searching for what's the point of life if it's very difficult. We may search for what's the purpose and meaning of life if it's become mundane and boring and repetitive. And we may have an inclination towards philosophy. Think about it from that point of view. I can appreciate philosophy. I can understand some philosophy. But I think philosophy has a danger of spinning on its own wheels and not giving any real answers. I think there are aspects of philosophy which are very practical, Stoicism and things like that. I think the realm of philosophy, I'm no philosophy expert, but the realm of philosophy that I've read about that seems to engage with meaning and purpose seems to be existentialism and that sort of thing. Absurdism, existentialism. But I don't find those things a great deal of use. I think it's much more honest. I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean it in a skillful means way. I think it's a lot more honest to actually look at what's going on as opposed to overlaying with something more. I think one of the great attributes of meditation can be that we release and let go and feel lighter, not that we add in and feel burdens with shoulds and have tos. And then there's the question, can we live a life that we find good, great, acceptable, without any meaning and purpose. If we're happy in the moment with whatever's here, if we're not even happy, if we have acceptance of what is occurring in each moment, and there's contentment, and contentment doesn't need anything else. It doesn't even need meaning and purpose, or meaning or purpose, because it can accept whatever is going on, including having no meaning and no purpose. That may sound depressing, dull, dour. It's not. Because a search for meaning is a busy mind. A search for meaning is a busy mind, and a busy mind is inherently disturbing. It's disturbing the peace. Peace isn't actually a thing. Peace is a meaningful absence of a busy mind. So if we don't have a mind that's wondering about meaning and purpose, or anything else other than meeting what's going on in that moment and enjoying it for what it is, accepting it for what it is, then we don't need meaning and purpose. I'll speak more about this after we've done the body relaxation and the breathing meditation. We'll come back to it, and I'll talk about whether there is objective meaning and purpose, whether there is what's to be understood by subjective meaning and purpose. And I've just mentioned very briefly, living with no meaning and no purpose, in a contented way, not in a struggling way. So I'll pause the recording. If you're doing this, watching and listening to this as a recording, you may want to now just pause and do your own preliminary practice to calm your mind down, yoga or chanting or who knows what, breath meditation, whatever works for you, and then just press continue and listen to the second part of the class. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that breathing meditation, or if you're doing this as a recording at home, hope you've enjoyed your preliminary practice, your yoga or prostrations or breathing meditation, whatever it might be. It's a very helpful thing to meditate in two phases. We do a preliminary phase, slows our mind down from the day or from the night, gives our mind more clarity, more space to then investigate the subject of the second meditation we do. A meditation is not like learning maths and physics and things, learning to dance. If we listen with a clearer mind, then things seep deeper into us, so that we start to appreciate them at the level of our heart, start to understand them more deeply. It can be very, very simple things, and we think we know them, and we do intellectually, but you may have experienced this. Something just sort of hits you and you realize it walking down the road or sat at home having a cup of tea. You think, wow, I really got what that was on about. You tell somebody else and they go, yeah, I know. But you feel like they don't know it the way you just known it, because it was deeper than just intellectual. That's what meditation helps us with. The reason that's important is because when we recognize and realize something on a deeper level, it informs our actions. It informs our actions of body, speech, and mind. Body, speech, and mind. So our bodily actions might be informed by how we've realized things. Our thoughts may be altered, changed because of the way we've realized things. Our speech may change because we've realized things. Very different from understanding it intellectually. So meaning and purpose. Meaning and purpose. So is there objective meaning and objective purpose? There are places in the world that tell us there's objective meaning and purpose. You know, external objects and people that say, oh yeah, the meaning of life is, and the purpose of life is. Are they objective? Where did they get them from? Maybe they got them from some book that's held as supreme. So what? So what? Does that make it objective? Well, there might be stories that things have come down from somewhere that make certain meaning and purpose. But if we check, that's still something that is coming through our senses. It's coming through our eyes and our ears, maybe through our touch if we read Braille. So we can't find meaning and purpose under a rock. We can't go and find it intrinsically within nature. We can't find it growing in the roots of a tree or in the bark. So all the different places we may find that we're told there's objective and meaning and purpose in our life, they're human fabrications. Even if they're human fabrications of what somebody perceives to be a connection with a deity. So let's look at subjective meaning and purpose. We can get up in the morning and we can decide, I'm going to make my day meaningful. I'm going to give it purpose. I'm going to help some old ladies across the road when I see them. I'm going to feed the ducks down at the pond. I'm going to do my job well. I'm going to feed my kids. I'm going to help in some sort of charity. I'm going to have fun. Yeah, I'm going to have fun. Or for some people, a meaningful day is to have beauty in their life. You know, beautiful music, beautiful clothes, beautiful flavors and tastes. You know, to get the most out of what our senses can transfer to us. Beautiful meditations, blissful, beautiful meditations. We can do this every morning. We can do it in any moment. We can have a subjective choice of what today, how today is going to have meaning in it. And at the end of the day, we can check, how did I do? Not to berate ourselves or criticize ourselves, but just to check in, how did I do? So we can decide to have no meaning or purpose for that day, checking at the end of the day, what was that like? We can actually do that if we're operating from what we perceive to be objective meaning and purpose of life. It's really nice practice to think in the morning, what's my life about? And then in the evening, how did I do against that measure? How did I do? And then start again the next morning. So if my life is about being kind to myself and others, how did I do? If my life is about having pleasure, could I have had more pleasure? How did I do? Did I enjoy it? If my life is about searching for some scientific discovery, did I spend my time well today? So when we combine this with the recognition that we're not going to live forever, we start to make our mind meaningful, if that's what we want, or to have a life with absence of meaning, if that's what we want. It can be quite scary to start looking at this. So don't worry if you explore this in meditation and you go from believing in an objective meaning and purpose to a subjective one, and therefore one that we just make up ourselves. And we can explore absurdism and existentialism. And in meditation, that involves looking at those thoughts and looking at the feelings that arise with those thoughts. We look at them like we would the breath, and we accept them and we observe them. And at some point, we've perhaps come to see the human fear of being fully responsible for making these choices in our lives. And maybe the full fear of there being no objective meaning and purpose, because it's very easy to plug in to somebody else's idea of what is meaningful and what is purposeful, because it hides from us that we're fully responsible. So we're going to do a meditation for about 5 minutes on this. Okay, so if you want to get yourself comfortable, so first of all, we can just check in. Do I hold a belief in an objective purpose in life, objective meaningfulness in life? Not to make it right or wrong, just to check in. Do I have one? Do I hold to one? Where did it come from? We can check. Is it something I want to carry on with? Am I living to it? Am I checking that I'm doing well in relation to it? Reconnect to it every day? Live through it? Or do I want to pop it to one side and explore other possibilities? If your mind wanders away, come back to these questions, whatever resonates, and contemplate it. Each time the mind wanders away, come back to this contemplation. Okay, so can do more of this at home in your own time, but for the purpose of tonight's class, I'd like to think about subjective meaning and purpose, as in we can change each day what meaning we bring to that day. What's it like to have that going on and maybe change the purpose of our life, the meaning of our life, from one day to the next? Have several. Pick some. To have fun with it and live in accordance with different purposes, different days. Maybe there's something that runs very deep inside of you that you feel is very clear as your purpose and meaning in life. And you can reconnect to it in this meditation. Develop a determination to keep it at the forefront of your mind on a daily basis when you wake up in the morning. If you make that determination at night, and more often, the first thing you'll think about when you wake up is your meaning and purpose in life. So it's really healthy to fall asleep with it, consider how you've been for the day, reconnect, fall asleep, and you wake up thinking about it, ready to connect again. And finally, let's explore having no meaning or purpose. Technically, somebody might say just accepting things as they are is a meaning and purpose. And I'm not here to split hairs. I'm here to help with practical meditations. So just imagine for now that your day is about accepting things more and more as they are, meeting them as they are. Because very few things in life we can actually change much. Imagine there's no ambition to become something, to be better, to improve. It's the acceptance of what is, and the stillness that comes with it. It might sound like the worst thing in the world, but it might sound interesting. Meet this experience as you do. Okay, so we've just done a little try out of different things, a little taster. So at the end of the class now, if you wish, you can set a determination for today and tomorrow that you're going to align your actions with a certain purpose, meaning in life. Try and imbue it into your day, live it as part of your day. It makes our life rich and meaningful. Not to set some impossible task, but to be playful with it and light with it and check at the end of the day, oh, I did well, or got distracted today, so tomorrow's another day. And allowing this meditation for this determination to arise, this commitment, this fun, light commitment, and then take that as the final object of meditation. If your mind wanders away, come back to this feeling of gentle determination to practice living day to day with this purpose. Okay, so please relax your concentration. Allow this determination to stay with you as your eyes gently open. And hopefully everyone gets what they need. Maybe we're always getting what we need all the time, who knows? Doesn't always feel like that, but in retrospect, sometimes we realize that the difficult things were just what we needed. And the fun things were just what we needed. So thank you for joining in tonight's class.